blurry-eyed and missed the first ball.
I'm sure you
That'll
could
be a
have,
game over.
I'm sure you could have just sent Jimmy
Shake
a little
hands.
text last night saying, would be good if you could swing one early.
It would be nice. It would be nice. It would be nice if we're not still here at lunchtime, I must admit.
Don't worry, mate. We won't be.
We are into a fifth day for the first time in this England-India Test series, albeit one might call it either a farcical or just a routine academic day, because all India need is one wicket, either Adil Rashid's or Jimmy Anderson's, to take this series to a 2-1 scoreline. This is ESPNcricinfo match day, just under 15 minutes to the first ball on day 5. If anyone was expecting some rain, that's not come. Aakash Chopra has come to our studios. Steve Harmison is also waiting in London. He's not got home since last night. Steve is still in his wonderful blue shirt. Aakash, one of those days where we have some time to talk about whatever you want to talk about.
Yes, we have a lot of time. In fact, my prediction for the day is that the show will be longer than the match itself. And we are only going to be here for 13 minutes. So yes, 3 overs is what I'm feeling.
What we will do is take a lot of your questions. So start putting them if you're watching on our Facebook Live page, or you could even tweet them using the hashtag ESPN Matchday. Put out a tweet from the ESPNcricinfo handle. So put them in, because I'm sure you have lots of questions regarding selection, the rest of the series and all that. It's time to say hello to Steve Harmison, who I hope went home last night. Steve?
Yeah, no, I was in the hotel. Yeah, I was in the hotel. So no, it would have been nice to go home, but I have to come. It's about a 6-hour journey for me to get back down. So I thought I'd stay at the hotel rather than go back just to come down for one ball.
If you were Jimmy Anderson last night with imminent defeat facing you, would you have blocked as much? You're getting peppered, bruise on the hand, bruise on the inner thigh, or would you have just swung at one and finished the game yesterday? Any such thoughts that went through your mind overnight?
Yeah, my head would have been saying swing as hard as I could, but because my feet could do with another day off, but delay the inevitable. But when you're playing for England and you're representing your country, your heart says another thing. And even Jimmy will not be wanting to be out this morning. Jimmy will be wanting to be not out at the end of the Test match, and so will Adil, because playing, I should tell you, playing for your country means everything. And a few bumps and bruises, that's Test cricket and that's international sport.
Okay, questions coming in on our Facebook page from Suman Kanal. How is the weather? The weather seems just fine at Trent We have no news of any rain delay, so we should have an on-time start. Mani Kantesh asking if Bhuvaneshwar Kumar will be available. So there's no Bhuvaneshwar Kumar. It's unlikely that he will feature in this series. They keep very quiet on injury news these days, the BCCI, but I believe he's already back in India and trying to undergo some rehabilitation. It's quite something that India have been this good. Without Bhuvi, we thought would be the main bowler in England.
100%. In fact, if Bhuvi was around, the scoreline could have read a little differently. That match in Edgbaston, the game at Lords, you knew that you were missing Bhuvaneshwar Kumar's quality with the ball and also with the bat. Because the moment you have Bhuvaneshwar Kumar, your tail is not as short as it is in this series, barring the last innings. In fact, there also Hardik Pandya came good in the second innings only. So Bhuvaneshwar Kumar is an asset when it comes to Test cricket, especially played with the Duke's ball or an SG Test ball in certain conditions. But more importantly, what's happening with him? What is the nature of that injury? When did he actually aggravate it? These are some questions that come to my mind as well. But there are no answers forthcoming, and that's something that I think has keep everyone intrigued. What's happened to Jasprit Bhuvaneshwar Kumar? I beg your pardon. Sure. And when is he going to get fit?
Yeah, I mean, we talk about individual players. Bhuvaneshwar Kumar, imagine him being with the bat in that narrow chase, tense chase at Edgbaston. Another player that we're getting questions on is Adil Rashid. Now, after all that was said about his call-up in the first place, he's had more bowling to do in this game than any of the previous two. So, Steve, he's going to come out to bat today. And almost the joke I was seeing on social media yesterday was Adil Rashid's enjoying his last Test innings, because I'm sure there are enough people going after his neck. Would you still have Rashid going forward? Has he done enough to justify his unexpected selection?
Yeah, I think you'll get another. I think you get the end of the series. To be fair, especially, and then England are going to Sri Lanka after that. So he's going to stay in or around the team. Let's be fair, all the wickets that we've played on and the conditions we've played in the summer so far have been seamer-friendly conditions. You mentioned Bhuvaneshwar Kumar, but they haven't missed him that much because Ishant Sharma. Who would have thought Ishant Sharma would have bowled as well as he did? But I think on the Adil Rashid thing, do you go for an extra batsman in Moeen Ali, who got a big double 100 yesterday? He got 4 as well in the game for down at Southampton. Could you possibly play them both down at Southampton? Because in first-class cricket in the last 2 years, the split between the wickets have been 50-50 between seamer and spin, and we know it'll spin at the Oval. So there's a possibility England might have a change that way. But I expect Adil. The times he's bowled in the first innings when it hasn't really turned that much. He's not there to give the control. He's there to get wickets. But he's playing against the best players of spin in the world. So it's been tough for Adil, and the circus that got him into the team didn't help Adil Rashid. It wasn't his fault. It didn't help him. But he hasn't put the ball in the right area consistent enough to say, right, he's looked overly effective. But I think he could do with a little bit friendlier conditions, i.e. bowling in the 4th innings, which he hasn't had.
What's the word on Jack Leach, who was supposed to be the main spinner, and then he got injured, so Dom Bess came in for the Pakistan series, and now both were injured, so they had to look to Adil Rashid. If Leach's fate, would you put him straight back into this team, or does Rashid outrank him?
I think at this moment in time, I'm leaving Leach doing what he's doing. I think he's not bowled a great deal. The English first-class summer is broke up in a horrendous way, in my opinion. I think the structure of English cricket in the summer is really, really poor. There's one-day games, 4-day games, one-day games, and it's all a bit of a mess on continuity on when 4-day cricket is played. And Jack Leach hasn't probably had the overs under his belt that he would like to have because of that injury, and then that's why Rashid got picked. And then since he's come back, there's been playing a lot of 2020 and one-day cricket while the Test match is on. So up until probably this week, he hasn't really had a good bowl. So how can you pick somebody for the last 2 Test matches who still hasn't bowled a great amount of overs for what is a divine art, which is a spin bowler? You need a spinner to be bowling all day, every day for a while leading into a Test series, and Jack Leach just hasn't had that. Dom Bess hasn't had that, but neither did Adil Rashid. So that scuppers that argument. But I just think Rashid was there to take wickets. Jack Leach hasn't had the bowling, and he hasn't got the experience in international cricket enough to throw him in, especially against, like what I've said before, the best players of spin in the world, which is India. Since
you've raised the point, I'm sure Aakash also wouldn't mind hearing your thoughts a little more as to what you believe has gone so drastically wrong with the English domestic setup. Take your time, Steve.
Well, the English domestic setup, from an opening batsman point of view, and Ashak will say this, he'll relate to this. We're playing 3 and 4 championship games in April, early May. Well, to give you some context of what the very, very first round of county championship games this year, I think there was 2 or 3 games called off without a ball being bowled. Bright sunshine, but because of the rain that they had before that, the grounds were flooded. And that tells you the amount of moisture. The wickets aren't going to be conducive to being able to from an opening batsman's point of view, you're getting hit on the hands a lot. The dampness of the wickets, which is getting indentations as it's drying out. The ball's doing all sorts. It's not really good enough conditions to play first-class cricket at the start. And then the white ball comes out in the middle, and then you're going to get. There's still about 4 or 5 championship games left, right through till the end of September. Now, there's just for instance, say there's 5 championship games left. There's only 2 Test matches left. Now, how can you then say to somebody, right, go and put a run together to try and get into the Test team or the Test squad when somebody else is struggling, when you're just constantly playing white ball cricket and you're not playing red ball cricket, because the championship games are either on right at the very start, 2 in the middle when everybody's been playing one-day cricket, white ball cricket for 6 weeks, and then you're playing 5 or 6 championship games right at the end of the season when the pitchers are tired, players are tired. So there's a massive priority in this country for one-day and white ball cricket, and I think that's That's the problem I see with English first-class cricket and trying to hone in techniques, because it's just survival at the start. And then by the end, well, there's nothing to prove and to play for, because half the teams are out of the competition. And with 4 test matches to go, 4 first-class games to go, the test matches are finished. So I'm not really trying to get in. I can't really sort of say, right, I'm going to bang 300s out to get myself in the test team, because it's already gone.
All right, well, strong words. Steve Harmison, continuing to take your questions as the first ball approaches on day 5 for what we believe is, of course, an academic session until India get that final wicket to take the 2-1 scoreline. Aman Gandhi with one that I'm sure pesters a lot of Indian fans. Why is Mohammad Shami again blowing hot and cold? Amazing sometimes, below par others, Aakash.
He's an enigma, and when I look at some of the Indian faster bowlers and I look at Pakistan's younger lot of faster bowlers, you tend to feel that they tend to evolve a lot quicker as compared to our bowlers, but then our batsmen tend to evolve a lot better as compared to the Pakistani batsmen, even though when both start they look almost even Stevens, but then Indian batsmen, they tend to take this giant leap. Indian bowlers don't. So a question mark is definitely there, because whatever you see of Mohammad Shami, sometimes he's just extraordinary. The ball comes out of his hand beautifully. You can never really fault his wrist. It's always behind the ball. The seam is always bolt upright. But then the consistency with which you need to bowl 6 balls around the same area. I'm not saying just target a coin, put at the 3/4 length. At least that 1 by 1 foot area where you want to be there, about 4 or 5 balls in a 6 ball over in a test match, that's not happening right from Australia. I remember where runs were scored on both sides of the pitch. It's still the case when things go wrong for him, and they're going wrong way too often for anyone's liking. So his job, the bowling coach's job, I think a lot of accountability has to rest on those shoulders, that what exactly is happening. Is he evolving as a player? And the answer to that question after 3 or 4 years is still a no. Then you need to take a very harder look at where exactly this player is going, what exactly the bowling coach is doing.
Well, that's for Mohammad Shami. One from Vivek Woos, which I will put to Steve. Spin not playing as much of a part as we initially thought in this series, but could it play a part going forward at Southampton and the Oval? Steve Harmison, this time of year?
Yeah, I think it will at Southampton and at the Oval. I think, like I said before, the first class the last 2 years, there's not been many test matches at the Ageas Bowl, but in first class cricket in the last 2 years, I think the stat is 50-50 from wickets of seam and spin. So that will tell you both sides might think about playing a second spinner. But also at the Oval, the ball bounces at the Oval. It's more tennis ball. It's a bit slower than what it was sort of during my time or just before my time. The sort of pace has gone out of the wicket, but it's still a true bounce. It's still a good bounce. But in the recent past, it has spun there. So I can see spin playing a part, and both teams having a thought of playing a second spinner.
All right. Many thanks, Steve Harmison, Aakash Chopra, for taking the questions off the viewers. We will be back for a proper detailed wrap after the presentation ceremony. Let's ensure that this is the last session of play. No weather about. Anderson and Rashid should not bat an entire session out. Otherwise, we'll have something more to talk about. Join us at the end of proceedings on ESPN Cricinfo Match Day.